Hey guys, welcome back. So today's video is going to be a little bit interesting. I asked you guys on Instagram to ask me questions that you think I would never answer online. So I wanted them to be like really juicy. Stuff that's never really been asked before. Just things like that. And you guys came through with the questions. Some of the questions I was like, are they for real? Like, they want to know this stuff about me. There's a lot to do with sex, which is nothing I've ever spoken about on my channel before, but you guys had so many questions, like sex-related questions. So just a disclaimer, if my mum, my dad, or my grandparents are watching this video, probably not a good idea because there's probably going to be some things said in this video that you don't want to hear. So click off now, don't say I didn't warn you. I also decided last minute that this is going to be like a Q&A/mukbang. It's lunchtime and I was literally going to eat my lunch before filming this video, but then I was like, why wait? Like, why not eat on camera? People love that shit nowadays. So here I am. I have the weirdest combination of foods right now, but this is like typical me at lunchtime. Like, I just kind of throw together whatever I can find in the pantry or the fridge. So I got me some corn chips. I got me some guacamole for the corn chips, obviously. Some snow peas and blueberries, because why the hell not? So yeah, super random. Super weird combination of foods. I feel like this is going to be a super weird Q&A as well, so it all kind of fits in together. Let's just jump straight into it. Okay. Oh my god. We're going to start it off pretty light. So the first question is, would you ever move countries? Love you, Erin. Love you too. I mean, yeah, I would if there was like a reason for it, if that makes sense. Actually, at the start of this year, Ben's work offered him an opportunity to go to Singapore for work for a year, and we seriously considered it and seriously considered moving to Singapore for a year for his job. So like things like that, I would definitely move overseas if there was like a significant reason to. But I don't know. I love Australia. Like, love Australia. So I don't know. I feel like it would have to be something pretty significant for me to move overseas, but I'd be totally down for it. I'm a super chill person. I'm kind of happy in most environments. So, I mean, yeah, I would move overseas if I had to. Okay, the next question is, what do you use for birth control? At the moment, I'm not on any contraception. I've been on the pill since I was about 14 or 15. And then about 2 or 3 years ago now, I stopped taking the pill and got the implant inserted into my arm. That was horrible. I have a few videos about that, which if I can find them, I'll link them down below. I actually got my implant taken out a few months ago. And since then, I have been giving my body a break from contraception just because I feel like I've been on contraception for so long. Like, since I was 14 or 15, that's nearly 10 years now. And the effect that it has on your body and the things that it can do to your hormones, like a lot of you guys might know, like I've had a lot of problem with my skin recently and I've never been someone to struggle with bad skin. And the doctor, like I went to the doctor for it and everything, and she just kept saying to me that it's all hormonal. So as a result, I decided to give my body a break from contraception for a while. So yeah, I haven't been on contraception for about 2 or 3 months now. Obviously, I don't want a baby yet. So Ben and I are still very safe. Without going into too much detail, we use protection. I guess you just have to be smart about it. Like, this is the first time in our relationship that I haven't been on birth control. We've spoken about it. We don't want kids, so we just use the alternatives, and it's fine for now. And I have actually noticed a huge difference in my body since I've come off of birth control. So I am really glad that I've done it. But in saying that, if you don't want a kid, be freaking safe, guys. Okay? A kid is like serious shit. Okay, so the next question is, are there any beauty bloggers you don't get along with or agree with? There's no one that I don't get along with. I'm a pretty friendly person. Like, I try to be anyway, so I feel like I get along with most people. Are there any beauty bloggers that I don't agree with? Yes. I think in the industry that we're in and in the position that we're in with the platforms that beauty bloggers have, essentially you are role models, and you're role models to young teenage girls or guys. And I just think some stuff that beauty influencers post, it's like they're not thinking about the fact that they are a role model and they are actually being watched by millions of people. And I get that you can't filter everything online and you have to be yourself as much as possible. Who am I to freaking judge? I'm about to sit here and answer questions about my sex life. So yeah, there's not a lot that I don't agree with. It's more just like, I think we as beauty influencers need to remember that we are setting an example somewhat, and we are reaching a lot of younger people in our audience. The next question is, if you could change one thing about your man, what would it be? I don't know. Nothing. Is that like too cliche? I mean, if anything, I'd like him to stop being such a nice person, because I tell you what, guys, he is like the hardest person to pick a fight with. Sometimes I can get pretty feisty, and like, especially around that time of the month, all I want to do is just have an argument with him. It sounds so bad, but like little things will just annoy me and I'm like, Ben, stop. And I get really like wound up about it, and I just want to have like a little bicker. He is like the sweetest person ever. He's never ever shown an angry side towards me. And sometimes when I'm like, we're having an argument, which doesn't happen often, but it does happen. When we have an argument, it's usually me that starts it, and he just doesn't bite. And I'm like, hello, is anyone home? Fight me. Fight me. And he just won't. He's like the nicest person ever. He just sits there and listens to me going like this. And then at the end, he more often than not just says, okay, I'm sorry. And I'm like, what? It's not even an issue, but he is just literally like too nice for his own good. I wouldn't even change that about him, but if I had to say one thing, it would be that. Because it's like, sometimes I just want to have a little argument, you know? The next question is, have you ever cheated? No. Never, ever, never will. I think it is an absolutely effed up, horrible thing to do to someone. I 100% believe in the theory, once a cheater, always a cheater. Pretty hard to believe that you would never do the same thing again to someone. I don't know. Obviously, every situation is different, but I'm like so against it. If I found out Ben ever cheated on me, even after 7 years, see you later. Like, bye. I don't need you in my life. I don't need someone like that. Again, every situation's different. That's just me. I am so against it, and no, I have never, ever, ever done it, and I never will. Next question is, how did you meet your boyfriend? This is kind of like a really boring story. Whenever someone asks me, I feel bad because I'm like, this is gonna be a letdown for you. Like, you're expecting some cute little romantic story, but honestly, Ben and I met through a mutual friend. One of my best mates, Kevin, that I went to high school with, ended up going to TAFE to study personal training straight after school. Ben also happened to be in the same course. They became really good friends, and yeah, I think one day I was like really, really bored, and Kev was going to watch Ben and his twin brother Jack play volleyball, and Kev was like, do you want to come? Like, if you're bored. I just wanted to get away from uni assignments, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll come. So we went and watched this volleyball game, and that was the first time I ever saw Ben. He had a girlfriend then too, but I remember sitting there watching him, and I was like, damn, he fine. And I remember saying to Kevin that afternoon, I was like, he's cute. Like, I, for some reason, am just like, I was attracted to him instantly, but he had a girlfriend. So that thought obviously went down the drain very quickly. And then I think like a few weeks later, I caught up with Kevin again, and he was like, hey, so Ben and his girlfriend have broken up. And I was like, really? And then yeah, like through Kevin, we started like seeing each other at different house parties and stuff. We started hanging out. We were kind of seeing each other for about 2 or 3 months before we made it official. So there was like a solid 2 or 3 months there of us just like becoming really good friends and getting to know each other. And yeah, we just ended up getting along really well. And now look at us. It's 7 years later and we're still together. So how weird. It's actually really weird the way that some things work, hey? Okay, this question is, how many times do you have sex a week? Not as much as Ben would like. I have a really, really low sex drive. I'm not ashamed to admit that either. It's just naturally how I am. Ben, on the other hand, is very different. He is the complete opposite. He has the highest sex drive out of anyone I've ever met, but bless him, he's very patient with me. He's very good. He understands that I'm just not that into it as much as he is. Obviously something that I don't like hate doing, it's just that I don't have a want for it as much as Ben does. So how many times do we have sex a week? Some weeks we don't even have sex. Other weeks we could have it like 3 times a week. Like, it's one of those things, it changes all the time. I feel like in the beginning of our relationship, we definitely had sex a lot more than what we do now. I think it's just naturally when you get so comfortable with each other, and we're both so busy with our own lives as well. Like, I travel a lot for work. He's currently away for a week for work. Like, we both have very, very busy lives, and I think the busier we've gotten, the less time we have for stuff like that. It's like one of those things. It happens when it happens, but yeah, poor thing. He has a very high sex drive, and he picked a girlfriend with a very low sex drive. So the next question is, could you see you and your boyfriend getting married and having kids together? Yes, of course. I think that's just like a given at this point. Like, we've been together for so long that it'd be weird if I couldn't imagine that. A lot of our friends are kind of in the phase of life where they're starting to get engaged and starting to have kids and stuff like that. And Ben and I do get a lot of pressure from other people asking, like, when are we going to have kids, or when's Ben going to propose, and all of that stuff, just because of how long we've been together. But like I said earlier, Ben and I are both very, very busy in our own careers at the moment. We're both very driven, very motivated, and we have a lot of stuff that we want to do before we settle down. I mean, at the moment, we're in the process of buying a house, and that in itself is stressful enough. I couldn't imagine going through this process with children or trying to organize a wedding at the same time. We have just always taken it slow and done it at our own pace, regardless of what everyone else around us is doing. So I can definitely see myself marrying Ben. I don't want to be with anyone else. I don't want to have kids with anyone else. I want little baby Bens and Erins running around one day, but at the moment we're pretty content with where we're at. We just want a freaking house. We want to buy a house, get settled in that, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, this question is, have you ever had a threesome? If no, would you? No, I've never had a threesome, and no, I would probably never have a threesome. Again, going back to my sex drive, I feel like my sex drive is nowhere near high enough to ever want something like that. My body is for one person and one person only. Do you know what I mean? That's Ben's body. This is Ben's body, no one else's. And same with Ben's. Like, Ben is mine. I am not sharing him with anyone. So yeah, I don't know. The thought of a threesome is just like, why? Why would you want to do that? All right, the next question is, how much do YouTubers actually make? That's a really hard question to answer because every YouTuber out there is making a very different amount of money from the next person. There's so many things that it depends on. I mean, look at the size of my platforms, and I'd consider myself to be someone that's still a very small influencer, and I make a living off of this. I do it full time now, so I make enough money that, you know, Ben and I are buying a house together. I am living very comfortably. So yeah, if you think about that and then think about the people that are on like millions of subscribers, they're obviously doing very well for themselves. I couldn't sit here and tell you exact numbers. Like, I don't even know how much I earn. It changes monthly, it changes weekly. It's a very hard question to answer, and that's why you'll find that a lot of people don't really talk about it, because like, we don't even know. It changes all the time. There's so many questions on here about who my least favorite influencer is, and I'm really trying to think hard about who it is, because there's not many people out there that I don't like. Actually, I have to admit, I was not a fan of Jeffree Star until recently, until Shane Dawson's series. I just didn't really agree with some of the things that Jeffree has done in his career. I hate it when he talks about smoking weed on the internet. I think it's like, I don't care that he does it, I just don't like that he glorifies it, if that makes sense. And I know it's legal where he lives, but it's not legal in a lot of countries, and I don't know, I think it's one of those things, like I was saying earlier, the type of audience that probably watches him just shouldn't really be exposed to that kind of lifestyle yet. Each to their own. So I always had a little bit of like I didn't not like him, but I was just like, I had a bad taste in my mouth about him. But then after watching Shane Dawson's series, I have a lot of respect for him. He's clearly a very, very hardworking person. He's come a very long way in his life as well, and I admire that. I think that's absolutely incredible. And by the way, if you haven't watched those videos on Shane Dawson's channel, you need to. They are incredible. So interesting. All right, I think this is going to be my last question, but it is, how has your career affected your relationships, family, partner, friends, etc.? I think if anything, people are just very confused about this industry. And with Ben, it's definitely been a big transition for Ben, because him and I met before I was even doing any of this. Like, I had just like a personal Instagram and that was it. I didn't do any social media when him and I first met. And then he saw the transition from me being really unhappy in my jobs and wanting to pursue this as a hobby to start off with, because that's what it was. He stuck by me with all of my crazy makeup spending, the money that I spent on equipment for it, and at that point I think he was kind of like, Erin, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're spending so much money on this but you don't make anything from it, like you don't get anything from it, so why are you doing it? But I just loved doing it so much, and he knew that, so he still supported me. I think he's just been very confused by it all, because I got to a point where I knew that this is what I wanted to do and that it had the potential to become a job for me, but it was very hard work to get here and I didn't make a lot of money in that process. And Ben stuck by me. Even though he didn't really understand it, he stuck by me. He supported me financially quite a lot about a year ago. Like, I think I had like $5 in my bank account and was relying on Ben for a lot of stuff. I think he probably sat there for a lot of it thinking like, what is she doing? What is she doing? But in the last 6 months, he's seen where it's taken me and I'm now very financially stable. So yeah, he's seen the transition and I think now he's started to understand it. The other thing is that I am a very like open book. Obviously being online, my life is pretty public. Ben is a very private person. So I think those two worlds clash quite a bit and it's taken us a few years to really, I guess, just get used to the fact like he had to get used to me constantly talking to my phone or talking to a camera or being on my phone a lot, interacting with you guys online and posting online. And it was a struggle for him in the beginning to get used to me sharing so much of my life online. And then for me, like, since I started this, I've wanted nothing but to share him with you guys. Like, I want you guys to meet him. I want you to see how much of an incredible person he is. I want you guys to get to know him. But he's just not interested. He doesn't want to be online. He doesn't want to be a public person. And that's totally fine. I completely respect that. Anyways, I'm starting to ramble, but yeah, it's come to the point where like we both completely respect that side of each other's lives. And if he doesn't ever want to do a video with me, he doesn't have to. In saying that, he did agree to do a YouTube video with me when I hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm not that far off. So that's the one thing he did promise me, and I do want to do it because I want you guys to meet him. I want you guys to see how amazing he is. But if he decides he doesn't want to and gets a bit shy and backs away from it, I'm not going to force him to do it. I think my parents were a bit the same. Like, my parents have always been very supportive of me and what I want to do with life. But I think at the start they were probably a bit confused as well. Like, what the hell are you doing, Erin? Why are you putting so much of your life online? You know, they can see the interaction that I have with you guys and they really appreciate that and they respect that. So they understand it now and they're regardless, they've always been very supportive, which I'm so thankful of. I've definitely lost friends, which happens. It happens. There's people that you just drift away from, and I think when I started YouTube there were a lot of people that just didn't understand it and couldn't relate and couldn't connect with me anymore, and vice versa. I probably felt like I couldn't connect with them, but I think regardless of whether I was doing YouTube or not, that probably still would have happened with those people. So I don't think it's because of YouTube that it's happened. All in all, it's been a very positive experience. But yeah, I'm going to end the Q&A here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys found it interesting. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about me and my life and my private life. If you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to turn on post notifications as well, because YouTube is a little biatch sometimes and doesn't put my videos in your subscription boxes. So if you have my post notifications turned on, you will always be notified when I upload. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.